Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to set up navigation between different SWF files. It's pretty simple. All you need is a button at the bottom and some ActionScript. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like. It's really simple. You can be as creative as you want. I just went ahead and made some rectangles and some text. Let's take a look at what it's going to do. So here you can see we have file2.swf and a label here of file2, and you have the option to go to file1. So whenever you click file1, it loads a different SWF into the same browser window, and now this has the label file1 and go to file2. So you can click between them. So it's pretty handy if you want to have multiple SWF files. There's other ways of doing this, but this is just the way I decided to do it for this project. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to create a new file. Let's close this here. We'll save it just to start, and we'll save it as file1.swf or .fla, sorry. And yep, okay. So the first thing we have to do is label this content, and we need another layer called actions. And actions will just be used for all our code. Okay, so on content, we're just going to add text saying file1. Just put that up in the corner. And we also need a button. Oops, make sure it's visible. And we'll convert that to a symbol. The registration point doesn't matter. We're going to call it goto_MC because the MC is there because it's a movie clip. Okay, we'll give it an instance name before I forget. And inside here, once you've clicked on the movie clip, you should be brought inside it. And you're going to want to label this content or rectangle. And you're going to want to create a second layer. We'll call this text. Okay, so for the text, just something simple like go to file2. And we want it to be visible, so we'll make it white and bring the size way down. Just so it's roughly centered, doesn't matter too much. Okay, now that we have that button set up and it's got an instance name, we just have to code it. Okay, so we go into actions, and we'll add a stop right at the start, just in case we have other frames that we're going to use. So the first thing we need to do is declare variables. And the first one is for the SWF file we're going to be opening. So we'll call this variable new SWF. And it's a string. The string is just the file path. If it's in the same folder as the file you're using to open, you don't have to worry about, like C and then the folder path. You just have to put the file name. But if you were in a different folder, you would have to use the file path. Okay, so then you also need a request, and it's just a URL request. And the URL request is going to try and load that new SWF within right here, so through in the brackets. Okay, the next thing we have to do is button functionality. And it's pretty simple. Just add an event listener for that movie clip, and it's a mouse event. We want click, and we'll call this on go to click. Okay, so now we have to write the function. Okay, so it's function on go to click e event, and it's void. Open bracket and close bracket. Okay, so because it may not be able to find the file, we have to use this thing called try and open and close brackets here. And it's going to try to navigate to the URL. And it uses the request that we've created as a variable. And we want it to load in the same window. So we call it self. if you wanted it to load in a different window, you wouldn't use self. You'd have to use something else. Um, okay, so the next part we have to do is see if there's an error, and if there is, we use catch. And if there's an error, we're just going to trace an error occurred. Request incomplete. Okay. Okay. Um, okay, so this should work for file 1. If we want, we can just actually save this as, we'll save it first as file 1, and we can also save it as file 2. Okay. And then we can just change the text here. And change this text here. Okay, and then modify the ActionScript a little bit so that we want it to go to file 1, and that should be good. And now if we open it in, we'll just open it here, open up file 1. Now when we click on it, it alternates between files. So it's a pretty simple way of doing navigation. It's the way that I did it in the project, but there are better ways of doing it. This is just a really simple way. Another way would be to use containers, but I won't cover that today. So yeah, that's the end of this tutorial.